Hello everybody, today we're looking at the Hermit card, one of my favourite cards. We're again looking into the symbolism based on the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, and we're doing that because all the symbols are meant to be there for a reason, and they give a fuller picture, they give a story if you understand what the symbols mean, so that you can look at these cards and set it to memory really quickly, because the symbols are often reflected as well further down the deck. And so looking at the symbols that are within this card, we're really able to get a full picture of what was originally meant by the Hermit card. We're going to be looking at 4 different types of decks: the original Smith Rider-Waite, the Light Seers, the Witch's Tarot, and the Everyday Witch. And deeply looking at all of these symbols, you're able to see them reflected all the way through, and on cards where they don't have a lot of the symbols or none at all, you're still really able to understand what the Hermit means, because you've put that kind of short-term pain, long-term gain in by learning what they all mean in the first place. Okay, so number 9, the Hermit. This is talking about completion, the end, the ultimate goal. You know, we started out on the Fool's Journey, where he was introduced to a lot of major arcana, and his head's been blown a bit by all the work that he's had to do by looking at the chariot, the Hierophant first, the chariot particularly, and then the strength card. And he comes out and meets the Hermit, and he's thinking, what's next? You know, what do I have to learn? And the Hermit here says, this is a time to be introspective. This is a time to master what it is to go away from distractions and to call onto your higher self by getting rid of all the noise that is metaphorically or physically around you, and to commune with your higher self, your creator God, and know who you really are. And yeah, I love that. Know who you really are. So, sorry, while I talk through these things, I'm also talking to Spirit as well. Okay, so first off, let's go and look then. You've got the lamp here, the lamp that he holds, the lamp unto his feet, a light unto his path, a biblical text there. And basically that means it's enlightening him, but only to where he is and what's just in front. It's not showing I don't know, it's not showing sort of 10, 13 steps away. It's really just only showing the first 5 steps in front of him. He can't really see. There's darkness everywhere else. It's just enough light to see where he is, what he's just come from, and what he should just immediately do in the future. This is mostly done because, you know, we're not meant to know what is very far forward in the future. We might have some understanding, but we're never given the full picture, often because, you know, our higher understanding, our Creator God, knows that we often can't handle too much information. So we're given little tidbits, and that's why he hasn't got a great big kind of multi-batteried, you know, one of those huge lamps that they stick on top of cars. He's just got enough light to give him what he needs to know. When we look at ice, and there's loads of ice around, if you'd have followed my series, you know that it's all, whenever we see water, it's always talking about emotions. So you can understand the emotional state of the person by looking at what the water is actually doing. Is it a waterfall? Is it a small river? Is it a large river? In this instance, the water is ice. And whenever you see ice on top of mountains or ice on the floor, you know that there's a certain amount of isolation that will be needed to cover this particular challenge. Well, here it's just pretty much all ice, and definitely in the Rider-Waite-Smith it is all ice. It's complete isolation, therefore, just him and his little lamp to give him just enough to know the few steps ahead. Because his main role is not really to look massively ahead, it's to think on the reality of what he's just passed through and what is the reality at the present time, so he can be restored and regenerated before he walks on ahead, clear-minded from a rested position. Right, so I put down here in my notes, his intention is to be isolated, to walk the narrow path to wisdom and high knowledge. Whenever you see mountains in cards, that's always about a challenge that is to be faced. And there is mountains here, and trust me, that's a mountain. It's just he's standing on top of the mountain already, okay? So he's standing on top of the mountain. He's mastered the art of meditation. He's mastered the art of going within and really kind of working out, what have I just experienced? What are you trying to tell me? What do I need to know? And so he stands on that mountain already having achieved. Sometimes when we start meditating or we start our spiritual walk, it just seems like, wow, I haven't got the time, I haven't got the inclination, I'm not sure I can do that, I want the end results, but I don't actually want to work for it. And it is hard work, connecting to spirit sometimes. You have to set time aside and really want to connect. So the hermit has done this, and he's on top of the mountain, and the mountain's there, but it's all white because it's all done just you. Okay. So the staff or wand that he has here, like Dumbledore, he rests in old age through, and he's got wisdom. He's got, whenever you see any of the characters with white hair or a beard, you know, a lot of hours have gone into this journey, and to be able to get to enable him to walk the walk, to be transformed. But the staff in his left hand represents higher awareness, the subconscious mind, which is why it's in his left. His right hand, which usually represents a pointing by God, he's holding the Star of David, the six-pointed star, beloved of God, and it shines on him and all around him. The Star of David contains all four elements: water, air, earth and fire. And so we see this is a little touch of God. God is with him, and he's with him on the journey, and he's not alone. But it is something that physically, as a human being, he has to do on his own. But he's not alone spiritually. The Star of David also talks about balance of energies for spiritual advancement. So he has a Star of David that is showing that he is somebody who has advanced. He understands the dualities of life, and he's learnt how to balance that. This card really is about, it's another self-love card. You know, it's not a yes or a no. The answer generally is all about being within you. It really is within you. So if somebody gets this card and they're wanting a yes or no answer, I would turn around and say, you actually already know the answer, but you're either too nervous, too worried to actually sit down and fully answer it yourself. Usually because one of the answers you don't want to hear. But this, to me, isn't a maybe. This is a go within yourself, take the time, look at the different realities that you get to pick on, and probably take a bit of a go back to your Chariot card moment and have a bit of a, okay, I'm wanting this route, but I know I need the other route. This job opportunity looks great, but I know deep down I haven't got the time to commit to it. I love this type of friend or this new partner. They're so good looking. They've got everything I want. But I know that deep down they're kind of a bit toxic and they're not really. I know that there's going to be trouble ahead. So do you see? It's not really a yes or a no. It's you need to go and think about it, because you do actually know. You're probably just not wanting to hear. Reversed, this card usually, I like to turn it over and look what's at the top. Ice, just isolation. That's what's coming at me. Fear, loneliness, withdrawing, self-absorbed, stuck in this isolated feeling, probably exiled as well. You're feeling exiled from family, you're hiding. You could be being sulky, you could be being very childish, the little boy that goes to the bottom of the garden, goes to the bottom of the garden and sulks because somebody's taken his ball away. You're feeling isolated, you're going away and you're sulking. So at the top here, instead of the stars and the constellation and the beautiful skies that are blessing us with, because we're climbing up into a spiritual state, instead, what is above us? Just our emotions of isolation. So when you get this card, it's a self-love card. Sometimes I can be in the Hermit mode for 10 minutes. Sometimes I can be in the Hermit mode for weeks and months. Sometimes, mattering to what you've got to heal from. So let's look at the other two cards, shall we? We have here someone who's in that, they're ascending. They're ascending into this beautiful. They've put down their lamp. They're independently rising up. It's slightly yellow, and whenever we see slightly yellow, it's talking about that masculine energy. That's not to say masculine is better than feminine, but it's just showing this logic and reason. She's not in her emotions. She's not in her emotions. She's in her spirituality. And this logic and reason, she's working everything out that she needs to work out. She's in comfortable clothing and she's just looking at the sea. There's a sea around here, and but it's not choppy. It's just there. It's nice and calm, and she's taking that time. Then we go over to this card here. She's sitting down in a relaxed pose of meditation by the looks of it. You've got the fire that is kind of, it's only lighting up what's directly around her. She's not alone. So she's in that isolated state. It's being a gift to herself. What's quite amazing that I've seen here, and I'm so excited I got my tool. I don't know if you guys can see. Can you see that? Oh, I've got to see if I can make it known. See if I can do it. It did work in the last video. No, it's not going to work. There's little cans. There's teeny little cans. 1, 2. Let's see, 1, 2. I thought there was 3 somewhere. What a can? Oh, there, 3. Cairns are usually when you've climbed a top of a mountain and you get a rock They're usually a lot bigger than this. They're usually this size, to be honest. And you stick a stone on top of the mountain to say, I've been here. And I explained that in the full card, I think, a bit more in depth. And then the next person comes up and they put a stone on top of that stone. And before you know it, you've got a pyramid of stones. And it's everybody who's gone through that journey. They've had the courage to climb the mountain, and to say that they were there, they stick a stone on the top. Well, she's got 3 here. She's, you know, these challenges that she's had to face, and now she's sitting down and she's just breathing, getting rid of that high cortisol level of stress and adrenal fatigue, and she's just, and she's relaxing. She might be sending a prayer, and it goes up with the smoke as the smoke climbs up. So her prayer is going up, being heard by the universe, by God, Creator God, and so she's going to, at the end of the day, come out of that. She's going to open her eyes. She's probably going to dampen down the fire, and she's going to go home and ready for the next chapter, ready for the next challenge. Okay, I really hope you enjoyed this. I really hope that from now on you've learnt a lot of really useful symbols and you're able to carry them through to the other cards. I hope you've enjoyed learning more about this with me, and you will check out my other videos. Okay, thank you. Bye.